Hello everybody and welcome to the Cellar Edition 11. We've got Owen here with me this week. How are you, Owen?
Very good, very excited.
It's very, very exciting. Once again for the Cellar, every fortnight we bring out a couple of cracking bottles from the Casa Vino Cellar, have a little chat about them and put them up for offering, which is particularly great for the moment when no one really can come to the store because we've got lockdown going on in most of our major cities. So the Cellar, this is a great opportunity to have a little bit of a chat and look at a couple of bottles that we can't normally showcase unless you do come to the store. So let's start with the bottles that we're bringing out in terms of the full bottles that are coming for sale. And the first one, Owen, the Artist 10 Cappadonic.
A starting bottle, part of La Maison de Whisky's newest 10th anniversary Scottish artist range. Some absolutely cracking bottles in this range. One of only 251.
So it's a cracking whiskey, and these ones, for the most part, we only got one or two bottles for the whole of Australia, and we're sort of slowly bringing them out of the cellar and giving you guys a chance to have one of these cracking bottles.
Yeah, so Cappadonic, 20 years old, a now closed distillery, so pretty infamous. Closed in 2002 when Pernod Ricard bought it, but otherwise one of those legendary previously blend-focused whiskies. We're now seeing casks come through with a little bit of age on them, and if it's in the artist series, you know that's a sign of quality.
Good. Yeah, there was a few Cappadonics in the sort of in the 60s range, 1966, a signatory vintage bottling, I believe, that sort of put these Cappadonics on the map for whiskey enthusiasts. It's a really interesting distillery with so much history. It opened in 1897. Operated for 6 years. Closed for 60 years. And throughout the period of reopening, ups and downs, really great in blends. We probably didn't see too much of it in its official bottling form or in indie bottles, but now it's got some really high acclaim in it, and it's a unique whiskey.
Pernod Ricard's starting to release some of these casks out to the wild. I think they're even doing an official bottling of a distillery that was closed 20 years ago now. So pretty wild sort of whiskey coming around. This one I think is the unpeated version of Cappadonic. 20 years old, lovely juicy whiskey. And again, artist range, perfect.
You know it's going to be good. Lots of citrus, florals, a little bit of chocolatey sort of bitterness there on the finish as well. It's an absolute cracker. So that one is out. There's only one bottle available, and I'm sure it won't last too long. An absolutely cracking whiskey there. So the second bottle that we are bringing out for the cellar is one you guys might be pretty familiar with, but we thought we'd bring it out and add a little bit of a twist to it. The bottle we're bringing out, the second bottle, is the Enviable Speyside 24-year-old 1996. I know you're a bit of a fan of this one.
A cracking, full-bodied, rich, easy drinking style of whiskey. It comes part of our Liquor Library series, so it's a cask that we've chosen ourselves. The name and the sort of logo, the bottling, green with envy, as it were, follows our similar ranges. Truly a cracking whiskey, absolutely phenomenal value for 24-year-old whiskey these days. It's
sensational. Of course, it is a secret Speyside distillery, but perhaps if you read between the lines of the name, you can figure it out. There are some clues there. It's a sensational whiskey, and it really develops as well throughout the journey of the bottle. I find when you open it, when you cut it fresh, it's got a lot of citrus. It's got a lot of orchard fruits, apples, pears, and then that sort of develops as the bottle gets a little bit more air, and you start to get a little bit more of a rich malty palate with some chocolatey notes, big malt notes popping through. So it's a cracker, and we've decided that for the cellar we are going to add to all the bottles purchased a 30ml sample. So you can grab this bottle through the cellar, and we will include a 30ml sample as well for free. So you can try the sample, and you can get to know the whiskey that you've got on the shelf, and then you can hold on to it for a special occasion and at least know what you've got up there on the shelf. So
definitely.
A 30ml sample will be thrown in with every purchase of Balvenie from the cellar, and it's a super exciting whiskey one. You should definitely add to the Bar Cart single cask. There's not going to be many left.
For sure. So what else are we bringing out today?
Yeah, we'll jump over to the samples. So for the samples, we've got two really, really interesting samples. And for both of them, we've only got about 3 samples, I think, available. The first sample is a Little Mill 22-year-old Nectar of the Daily Drams. Have you had a little try of this one in the past?
I have an old bottling, bottled I think 2012, so 1990 distillate date.
Yeah.
This was absolutely phenomenal. Little Mill, again, closed distillery, so following that trend with the Cappadonic of closed distilleries. Lovely little bit of like typical funkiness to it, lovely floral, citrus, but still backed by quite a lot of malt. It was the Little Mill distillery was sort of owned by the same guys who own Loch Lomond, so it's still got a little bit of that precursor of those kind of whiskies now. And of course, the other one bringing out is a Caol Ila.
Yes, a Caol Ila for the perfect Dram, which is a whiskey agency labeling they do. This is 26 years old, single cask, and it's up at 63% Ooh. ABV. It says on the label, in quotation marks, iodine and medicine, and this is definitely that. So from Caol Ila of this period, you can expect a little bit of that sort of medicinal iodine, and from this in particular, from this bottle, which we tried in an Old and Rare, was it?
I can't remember. I think it was something along those
lines.
One
of our Old and Rare tastings, I believe. Last year we tried this one, and it was just an absolute cracker. A lot of that gorgeous marine peats. You know, think shellfish, lobsters, and oysters. It's truly a different whiskey, a special whiskey, and this is up at 63% ABV, which I don't normally see Caol Ila's up at this high ABV.
No, usually they're even a quarter of that age to be that ABV. And Caol Ila from anywhere, you know, the 80s is crazy money these days. So it's a fantastic chance to try a very grand bottle, as it were.
An absolute cracking bottle. So another one that we'll add 3 samples there, and we hope you can grab one and enjoy a truly special whiskey. So they're the bottles we're bringing out for the cellar this week, but we've got a couple of very big tastings coming up, some awesome things happening, and with the lockdown and all that sort of stuff that's going on, what better way to spend a Thursday night when we can't really go out than have a little at-home whiskey tasting. So these are going to be some absolutely cracking tastings. The first one we've got is a rare single cask tasting, which is kind of, I guess, a bread and butter tasting that we do at Casa Davino's, because these mean a lot to us. What are some of your favourites from this lineup, Owen?
Well, this is just a beautiful lineup of varieties of whiskey. Everything from a Secret Island 17, which we believe could be a Highland Park, to a 27-year-old Speyside Ochroisk, some Irish whiskey,
the Ostrich,
even thrown in a 12-year-old Venezuela rum. But my personal favourite is, and obviously we're going to be biased here, is our bottling of Sullivan's Cove. This absolutely beautiful bottle right here.
It's a truly special whiskey.
Only 386 produced in our cask. 14 years old in an ex-Sullivan's Cove whiskey cask. Sort of getting there somewhere.
So it's got this beautiful sort of biscuit tin notes, shortbread, ginger biscuit. It's a cracking whiskey, and one that we've only tried in our 10th anniversary tasting. So this is going to be another opportunity to try it, I guess, in a different way, against some other really cracking whiskies.
It's been nearly a year since anybody has been able to taste this, so great for those that are either new to the tastings or possibly thinking about trying to come and join us. And then the next tasting we're looking at is, again, just as truly special to us, Chichibu Distillery.
Yes, so of course the Chichibu Distillery under Ichiro Okuto has been producing whiskey in their distillery for 13 years now. And when they opened, the sort of idea and what Ichiro wanted to do was to get to a point where he was producing a 10-year-old age statement whiskey. And sort of along that journey of the last 13 years, it just so happened that Chichibu sort of gained this big cult following, and worldwide, every whiskey fanatic just sort of hangs off the release of every bottle as it comes. It's become a phenomenon.
Cult following is probably an understatement, to be honest. And we're doing this tasting as a truly fantastic celebration of the first 10.
Yeah.
Limited to 5,000 bottles. We're incredibly lucky to be able to taste this, and it's a sign of sort of our love and passion for this distillery.
Yeah, the whiskey itself is exquisite. It's probably my top whiskey I've tried this year. It's got some beautiful brioche bun notes, like that sort of indulgent bakery feel with that sort of backbone of decadent florals and a little bit of spice. It's just everything I could personally want in a whiskey.
Definitely.
I'm so excited.
And I have to highlight the beautiful cork in air quotes on this bottle. You may see a bit of a shininess reflecting in the camera. This is a big old chunk of copper, rather than just a typical cork or a plastic cork with a big
melt
big
it down
thunk.
afterwards. So that this is a crazy Chichibu tasting, and we're so excited. We're going to go through the range, some of our favourites, with the Molten Grain Mizunara Wood Reserve, the Double Distilleries Wine Wood, before we land there on the first 10. So it'd be amazing to have as many people as possible join us for these sensational tastings coming up. And thank you so much for joining in on the cellar. Owen, thanks for coming in and giving us a hand.
Definitely.
And wow, what a great cellar for this week. And we'll see everyone in a couple of weeks' time for cellar number 12. Cheers,
Fantastic.
guys.
See ya.